I've been playing Terraria since 2012, but there's something obvious about the game that I somehow never noticed until last month. Have you ever noticed that tables are literally up to your eyes? So then, for placement of my windows, my choices are to have them awkwardly lower than the table, or to have them up so high I can't even see out of them. Or say I put a tea kettle on the table. It's now towering over me. The scale makes no sense in this game, and I'm sure some of you are more observant than me, but even if you noticed it, I bet the game quickly got you to stop caring. Because Terraria is built on misdirection. In both small ways and deeper ones. You're never thinking about the height of a table, you're thinking about all the options the game gives you and which would pair best with your interior. And even then, you're not thinking about it for too long because you have 8 other bosses to get to, dozens more weapons to craft, and maybe even a golf score to work at. The updates have added endless texture to this little world, with so much attention to detail, and yet they've never fixed the scale. Like now we're getting awesome looking jars from the Dead Cells crossover, but they're the size of the player. Intentional fantasy tropes aside, vases could be taken down a block so they're not larger than couches, tea kettles could be shortened so they're not 4 feet tall, food could be resized to make even a little bit of sense, and if the Terrarian were given the dimensions of the tavern keep, they could actually see over tables. Sure, headgear would extend your height over 3 blocks, but it already does. Yet these changes would all miss the point. Relogic isn't interested in creating a more cohesive world. They're interested in creating a more stimulating one. Why fix the scale of furniture when they could add a wyvern in the distance that subtly redirects your attention? Or why keep it subtle when you could just throw Aurora Borealis and meteor showers in there, when you could, in a word, make the world bigger and bolder? Almost everything in Terraria exists to redirect your attention, and the 1.4.5 update, set to release tomorrow at the time of this upload, is truly the embodiment of this misdirection strategy. We'll unpack this as we go, but it's an especially interesting update because with all the time they've taken, it feels like it may be even more than they've let on. It's also supposed to be the last update, just like almost every update before it, but if you're watching this years in the future after even more Terraria updates, I suspect the game's only found more ways to play with your attention. Structurally, Terraria gives you a blocky, pixelated 2D world, but it never even feels like you're missing something because there's so much going on in these 2 pixelated dimensions that immediately steals your attention each session. It all comes together in a flow state that's strategic and high octane rather than overly thoughtful. Like, sure, it asks you to use voodoo to sacrifice a man who's done nothing wrong to you, but you're not even thinking about it because it happens off screen and your attention immediately shifts to the Lovecraftian horror that's trying to devour you. Plus, you'll get a new guide with a new name but identical personality and won't face any moral consequences. Ever think about how eerie that is? No, because now it's a blood moon and you're too busy fending off a clown that threatens to blow up all your other NPCs. Events like this one, along with the creeping spread of planetary diseases in hard mode, create a sense of urgency in Terraria that's complemented by its rewarding pace of progression. And the pace just gets smoother and more buttery with every update. Little things like quick stacking the nearby chests, or 1.4.5's improved automation and freedom to craft with any item from nearby chests. Cut the humdrum so your focus can remain on the satisfying parts of progression. It means fewer moments that take you out of the game. Fewer moments that threaten to break the spell. It feeds this continual drive to get that next source of satisfaction, the next hit of dopamine, without having to think about the setting as much as other indie games would have you. I mean, if you describe the events of Terraria to a friend, it would seem a horror game. From the beginning, you're summoning occult nightmares like Cthulhu's Sentient Eye or the Eater of Worlds, and along the way you're harvesting vertebrae and flesh and using demon altars and eating demon hearts and being raided by all sorts of Cronenberg-esque monstrosities and trying to keep fields of living meat from taking over the world until you send some cultists to the grave and defeat the octo-eyed Moonlord himself. Yet the game maintains a deceptively sweet, whimsical atmosphere, somehow. It seems a contradiction, but because the game never stops to acknowledge the tonal dissonance and gives you plenty of other things to worry about, you don't really think about it too often when you play. It's the opposite of a game like Undertale, which misleads you with its simplistic atmosphere as an opportunity to defy your expectations, using moral consequences to shock you into thinking carefully about the world and the ethics of your decisions. Now, Terraria does have lore and symbolism, such as the metaphors for life and death represented by the Crimson and corruption. The gameplay just doesn't lend itself to particularly deep reflection on these themes. It transforms existential dread into a management task. There is one thing Terraria wants you to think about though. Opportunity cost. And this takes us back to the defining detail. Just like choosing an oversized table, each route you take your character or your home means saying no to countless other options. The game makes you painfully aware of this reality through crafting menus and the guide's recipe book, which 1.4.5 is doubling down on. Plus, like preceding updates, it creates plenty of shiny new toys, and you'll inevitably miss out on some in any given playthrough. But it cleverly takes this concept to the next level with its wild array of new seeds. Any world you make is missing features exclusive to other seeds. But of course, opportunity cost here doesn't mean opportunity lost. Relogic was wise to let you have multiple worlds for the same character, or multiple characters for the same world, plus multiple homes through his pylon network, aka plenty of opportunities to get to those other options that the game makes you aware of. And this is why people like me have poured so many hours into Terraria. There are always new characters or base builds to try, always more satisfaction to squeeze out of it, and it never feels like you've done it all. For someone who's played it for 14 years now, I think this defines my experience with the game. When a session ends and I return from the dopamine chase to the real world, it's easy to feel pretty empty. But of course, Terraria can be experienced with others, and that's what really takes it from satisfaction seeking to something more. Sure, maybe you're not thinking about the scale of your table, but maybe it's because you're both laughing at the new outfits you're rocking or how horribly that boss fight went. And honestly, it's really Terraria's chaotic multiplayer experience that I'll look back on most fondly.
Alright, fine. I'm starting my own magic carpet. I don't need any of you.
Now, admittedly, could there be better outlets for messing around with friends?
Maybe.
But before we go, I want to close by sharing a quick surprise. I love talking about games at this channel, but I wanted a space where I could let the games speak for themselves through cinematic edits and long-form atmospheric soundtrack videos. So I made Dreampunk, linked in the description. I've just uploaded my first video there, and you might like it if you like lo-fi girl vibes, but also like the Terraria overworld soundtrack, and occasionally want to experience his atmosphere without the rush, or the demons. And later this week, I'll be uploading 1.4.5 updated ambience there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Until next time.